What if I told you this game you're watching could be a window into an actual hidden history? Not just fantasy, not just myth. What if buried beneath this land, something ancient is still breathing, and the closer we look, the more we forget? This isn't just Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. This is a descent into a real-world mystery that the government never wanted you to uncover. And by the end of this video, you'll ask yourself, was it just a game or a warning? In 1973, the town of Halston, Arkansas, simply vanished from maps. The official report? Flooding. Locals? They remember something else. They say one tree, massive, gnarled, and hollow, began growing faster than anything they'd ever seen. By fall, it had swallowed 4 homes. No birds landed on it. No animals went near. And then the dreams started. People said they saw an eye in the trunk. Not carved, not symbolic, an actual eye, watching. After that winter, the town was evacuated. Satellite photos now show only scorched ground and what looks like roots stretching for miles. In 2004, an archaeologist at a Utah dig uncovered what he believed was a set of pre-Christian Hebrew scrolls buried in Native American caves. One scroll reads, "The roots of Eden twist downward. They feed not on water, but on memory." No scholar could verify the language. The symbols? They match spiral runes found on Norse burial stones and carvings in ancient Amazon temples. How? Unless it's not cultural, it's biological. A single source, infecting memory across civilizations. Just like in Shadow of the Erdtree. In 1989, the CIA's declassified MKUltra documents mentioned a spin-off project, GRACE, genetic root-augmented consciousness experiments. They planted modified trees on U.S. soil designed to emit frequency pulses, low, inaudible, constant. Affected subjects showed signs of dream looping, identity dissociation, memory rewriting. Sound familiar? In Shadow of the Erdtree, characters forget who they are. They repeat the same rituals. They worship a tree that erases their past and replaces it. If you're still here, pause for 1 second. Answer this in the comments. Back-end index pointing, right? Have you ever walked through a forest and felt like it was watching you? Not like an animal was near, but like the ground itself had eyes. We want your story. Let's get creepy. In 2022, a botanist in Georgia documented a tree that healed itself in real time. She cut its bark, and within 8 minutes, the wound had closed. The sap tested positive for magnetic particles. It wasn't normal. She traced its origin to a forest near Lake Lanier, a known hotspot for disappearances. She disappeared the next week. Her phone was found in a Ziploc bag. Last recording? It's not a tree. It's a thought, rooted in the earth. What does that even mean? And here's the kicker. When they tried to cut down the tree, their chainsaws wouldn't work. Not jammed, not broken, just turned off. Like the tree said, no. Let's go biblical. In Luke 8 verse 13, Jesus mentions seeds that fall on rocky ground and are taken away by something he calls the devourer. Not the devil, not Satan, the devourer, a seed. Some early Gnostic texts, banned by the church, refer to a tree older than the Garden of Eden, planted by the shadow behind creation. Guess what they called it? The tree of the erased. Yes, erased. Like the Erdtree. Stanford researchers discovered that memory isn't stored in single neurons, but across networks. Disrupt those networks? You lose whole chunks of yourself without knowing. A recent sleep study found that tree oil vapors can cause lucid dreams, and shared hallucinations. They had 5 participants sleep in a cabin surrounded by rare trees. 4 of them dreamt the same exact thing. A golden tree, eyes in the bark, and whispers saying you are rooted. They've never been the same. In 1951, a small Appalachian town called Weller's Hollow reported a bizarre phenomenon. Every single resident, 142 people, claimed to have the same exact dream for 3 nights straight. A golden tree standing in the center of their town square. Children dancing around it, chanting in Latin. Here's the thing. No one in the town spoke Latin. And yet, when recorded, the chant translated to, "The roots remember your name." But do you? On the 4th night, the town went silent. Not a word, not a sound. Even dogs stopped barking. State troopers arrived the next morning. Everyone was alive, but they were different. They walked slowly. They smiled too much, and they never, ever mentioned the dream again. No reports were filed, but one trooper said, off record, he saw carvings on the trees just outside town. Eyes. Hundreds of eyes. Now here's something to blow your mind. The spiral, that simple curling shape, is found in nearly every ancient culture on Earth. Celtic tombs, Mayan pyramids, Aboriginal cave art, and even in ancient Mississippian mound structures in the United States. But why? A historian named Dr. Ezra Langley believed the spiral wasn't just a symbol. It was a map. He proposed that spiral patterns represent the path of memory erosion. The deeper you go, the more you forget until you hit the center, where there's nothing left, just silence. And guess what? When he plotted spiral symbols from global archaeological sites on a world map, they all lined up toward one point. A remote forest in Greenland. Frozen, inaccessible, or maybe protected. We still don't know what's under there. But satellites show an anomaly the size of a football stadium, just under the ice. Ready for a twist? In 2021, a secure line at a university quantum research lab received a call from a number not in service. The voice was distorted, but the metadata? Dated March 9th, 2052. The message? If you're hearing this, it's already too late. The tree doesn't grow. It remembers. We thought it was mythology. We were wrong. Every timeline touches the roots eventually. And once it knows your name, it can plant you anywhere. The message lasted 6 minutes. Then the computer hard drives melted. Literally, the team was silenced. The lab was shut down. Here's where science gets scary. A 2019 neurological study tested patients who'd experienced sudden memory loss with no trauma. They all shared one thing. Each had recently visited dense forests in obscure parts of North America. The scans showed something wild. A microscopic root-like structure threading through their hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores long-term memory. It wasn't human tissue. It wasn't even plant tissue. Scientists now call it neuropterifolia, a suspected symbiotic memory parasite. It doesn't kill. It doesn't hurt. It just lives inside you and slowly edits who you are. The craziest part? Most infected people say the same sentence when asked about it. I feel lighter. Like someone took away the pain I didn't remember having. In certain abandoned houses across the Midwest, urban explorers have found sealed rooms, perfectly intact, untouched. Inside, children's drawings of a massive golden tree with roots spreading into homes, people, even animals. In one house in Kansas, they found a diary. Final entry said, "We heard scratching in the basement again, but there's no door to the basement. There never was. And yet, we can hear breathing." The drawing inside that diary? The tree was upside down, roots reaching into the sky. If you made it this far, You're part of a very small group, and maybe you've already started to feel it. That itch in your memory, that nagging feeling like you've heard this before, but can't quite place where. That's not coincidence. It's the roots. They don't just live in the ground. They live in story. They live in time. And they're growing every second across minds, not soil. We've told stories of shadow trees since humans could talk, not to warn others, but to remind ourselves of what's hiding, of what's whispering, of what we've agreed as a species to forget. Hidden 13 levels beneath the Vatican Library, below the publicly known archives, is a room no one talks about. It's called Archivum Tenebris, the Archive of Shadows. In 1993, a whistleblower claimed he was one of the digital archivists scanning forbidden texts. He said there was one book locked behind 4 biometric gates, titled Arbor Deus, the tree that walks across centuries. It wasn't fiction. It was documentation. Pages contained drawings of the same golden tree, appearing in medieval plague towns, near concentration camps, even beside Hiroshima. But the tree never appeared in person, only in sketches, paintings, nightmares. One line was repeated across every century's entry. The fruit is memory. The roots are choice. The tree only grows where regret lives. The whistleblower disappeared 2 weeks later. His apartment? Empty, but a tree root had broken through the floorboards. In 1987, hundreds of residents in a Chicago suburb claimed they saw a television interruption. It was 3:11 a.m. A woman appeared, pale, glowing slightly, speaking directly to the camera. No one recognized the channel, and no recording exists. Here's what people remember her saying. This is not a warning. This is a thank you. You fed the tree with war, secrets, lies, and silence. It is blooming now. You will forget this transmission, and when you wake, you'll look at your own shadow and wonder, why does it have roots? Some said they laughed, some wept, and one man reportedly plucked out his own eyes, whispering, I won't see it again. I won't. Now, here's a theory that will mess with your reality. What if dreams are not imaginary, but actual footage from your other versions in alternate timelines? You're not dreaming. You're remembering, briefly, before the root of that reality pulls away. A scientist named Alan Reeve ran an experiment. He trained lucid dreamers to memorize symbols during dreams and draw them upon waking. After years, the symbols started to repeat, not just between individuals, but across continents, cultures, languages. One shape kept appearing, a golden tree wrapped in spirals. Alan's research was bought out. His website now redirects to a gardening supply store. Coincidence? Or cleanup? In the heart of Kentucky, there used to be a small mining town called Elkhorn Hollow. Used to be. Census records from 1907 to 1923 show families, shops, births, and deaths. A fully functioning town. Then in 1924, nothing. No more names. No relocation records. No disaster reports. Just gone. Only one surviving document was found decades later. A telegram sent to a neighboring mayor that read, the light in the tree has cracked. The children sing at night now. Tell no one. Let us vanish. A modern drone expedition to the coordinates showed no signs of ruins. But in the footage at exactly 3:17, for one frame, you can see a swing set, still moving. In 2012, a team of geneticists sequencing ancient human remains discovered something ODD. There was a strand of DNA that didn't match any known human, primate, or animal species. They called it Sequence X. Here's where it gets wild. That same DNA strand was later found in a 15-year-old boy in Nevada and in the bark of a 4,000-year-old tree in California. Same pattern, same markers, same sequence. Scientists labeled it contamination. But one insider published a now-deleted blog claiming Sequence X doesn't mutate. It doesn't age. It just waits. Inside wood, inside minds, inside bloodlines. And when it activates, you'll dream of roots. In a dusty, out-of-print bookstore in Portland, Oregon, someone bought a leather-bound book titled Leaves of the Forgotten. It had no author, no publisher, just 187 blank pages, except the last one. It read, "The story begins when you remember it." They took it home. The next morning, page one had writing. It was a scene from their childhood, something they'd never told anyone. The day they broke their arm, climbing a fence to escape a barking dog. Each day, a new page appeared. By day 13, the entries were about things that hadn't happened yet. Day 14 read, "Today, you'll hear a voice from inside your closet." The reader tried to burn the book. It wouldn't ignite. They donated it to a university. But the book never arrived. The shipping crate? Empty, but smelled of wet soil. You've probably seen the Tree of Life symbol in tattoos, jewelry, or on hippie posters. But did you know it's been used by over 50 secret societies, from Freemasons to shadow cults, spanning centuries? Here's the pattern. In every group's founding documents, there's mention of the root below. Rituals involve chanting beneath trees. Many founders mysteriously died by hanging, but not by the neck. Their bodies were suspended by roots. In 1978, the FBI raided a compound in Michigan connected to a modern cult called Children of the Grove. All 23 members were gone, but in the center of the hall stood a tree, indoors, with a single golden apple hanging in silence. Inside that apple, a tiny paper scroll that read, "One taste, and you'll never forget what the world tried to bury." You made it this far, and maybe you think this is just a story, just a spooky tale to pair with a boss fight in Elden Ring. But ask yourself, why does this story feel like something you've heard before? In a dream, in a flash, in a déjà vu. Maybe that's the point. The golden tree isn't planted in the ground. It's planted in memory, in whispers, in story. And once a seed is planted in your mind, it grows. Maybe that's why you're still watching. Not because you chose to, but because you were always meant to. If this story messed with your mind, gave you goosebumps, or made you pause just a second longer on that golden tree in the game, then don't let the story die here. Hit like if you feel like your brain just opened a secret door. Share this video with a friend who always says, "Nothing creeps me out." Drop a comment. If the tree gave you one truth, what would you ask it? And subscribe, because this isn't just a gaming channel. This is a portal to the forgotten, the buried, and the almost true.